The absence of the supervisor this evening, the clerk will open the meeting. And we'll do at 6:30, March 1st, Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 at 6:30, and the clerk is opening the meeting. So we'd all like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so I'm going to do the roll call. Supervisor Durant is excused and out of the township hall this evening. Trustee LaRue. Here. Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Treasurer Johnson.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here. Staff present is Manager Kangas, our attorney Roger Zappa, Superintendent of Public Works Lenny Bodinas is on Zoom. Committee members, Tom Bronkin is here to give the library report, and Randy Gerard is here on Zoom from the events committee. So we'll move forward from there. However, at this point in the meeting, we have to choose a chair. So
I move that I'm looking at either one. I don't know. Our clerk runs the meeting tonight.
Support.
okay, so we have motion and support for Clerk Rattari to run the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. It'll be a little bit slower because I got to do minutes plus the agenda, but we'll do okay. We'll be fine. For public comment this evening, I have no email, so does anyone want to address the board? And Tom, if you want to do your library report and public comment, that's fine.
I attended the Peter White Public Library Board of Trustees meeting on the 15th of February. The special presentation was by Ellen Moore, who's the head of cataloging and acquisitions. Her department primarily adds, deletes, and maintains the items. They get between 500 and 800 items each month. And it's not like a grocery store where you get a case of beans that were exactly like you ordered 2 weeks previously. Everything is unique. So they have to catalog those things and make sure they get put in the right place. In addition to receiving books, they get a number of other items. They mend those books. They facilitate the interlibrary loan program, and they pull the books that are being held for our customers. They also do magazines and newspapers, which of course have to be turned over a lot more rapidly. They also, and I didn't know this, they have loans of certain things like art prints. If you want to get an art print and put it up in your home for a while, you can do that. And telescopes and microscopes. So they have, it's called the Library of Things. They have a few things that people might just want for a short amount of time. You can borrow them there.
You can check them out though.
Yeah, yeah. They have other materials like CDs and DVDs, although they're moving away from some of that now as things become streamable and more online. So they're not focusing on that as much as they were. They have, of course, a limited space. They didn't for a while after they put the addition on, but now it's full, so they have to pull things off, and that's a process that they have to go through to make sure what can best be taken off. They often will sell those books at their friend's bookstore within that, or if they don't sell there, they put them on a table for people to take for free. After that report, they talked about the financial state of things. There was nothing really remarkable except that they said that since the beginning of the year, their funds have started to take a little bit of a beating, like everybody's have, I think, at this point. Then they went into policies. They talked about the bulletin board posting policy. They tightened it up a little bit. That's, I don't know if you've ever seen that in the library, but they have a wall with all these posters of things that are going on in the community. And it's actually used a lot. A lot of people go in, if they want to find out what's going on, they go in and look at that.
That's in the basement.
No, it's up on it's on the first floor.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah, just past the circulation desk. But it's, again, if the township has something going on, that's not a bad place to advertise it, because a lot of people look at that. They did the first reading of the memory lab policy. The memory lab is something, they did it kind of in a hurry because it's going to open in this month sometime. The memory lab is a place that's going to contain equipment and software to convert old files into digital files. So people can take their VHS tapes or their negatives or their slides or cassettes or 3.5-inch floppies, whatever they have, and convert them to digital on the equipment that they have there. It's open to the public. You should have a reservation so that it's available to you. And it's self-service with there's an instructional guide on how to use the stuff. So that's kind of a nice feature. Again, you don't want to buy that equipment just to convert your own things, but to be able to go there and use that. The Strategic Plan Committee, which is made up of 2 trustees, Andrea Ingmeyer, the director, and 3 representatives of the township, including our own Paul Marin. They met on the February 22nd, and their recommendation for, they had a bunch of proposals to look at. Their recommendation is going to go to the trustees at the March 15th meeting. So I think when Paul gets back to this meeting, he can give you the inside scoop on what's going on there. And lastly, I need to ask Mr. Rattari, are you getting the minutes, the draft minutes?
I have not gotten any, so if he can send them to me, I'll make sure they're in the
Okay, they're
packet.
supposed to be sending it to you directly to take me out of the middle, but if you haven't been getting them, they had a change in personnel.
Okay, yeah, I have not been getting them, so if you want to
Okay.
make sure they get to me, I'll make sure they're in the
Yeah, I looked in the
board
pack, I don't usually look in the packet, but I looked and didn't see them there, so I
Yeah.
thought maybe that was the case. All right, that's my report. Any questions? Yes,
They have the book sale coming up just shortly too, do they not?
that's the Friends Group, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they made $10,000 for the library last year, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Like I said, I have no emails. Anyone on Zoom want to make public comment? If not, we will move on here. Any board member comment in response to public comment? Okay, we'll move on. Consent agenda this evening is approval of the regular meeting minutes of February 15th, 2022. Bills payable in the amount of $844,612.31. Received committee and other reports, Sheriff's Department report, activity report for January 2022, Planning Commission draft minutes of December 8th, 2021. Correspondence not requiring board action is the Charter Spectrum Affordability Program, Charter Spectrum Internet Assist, Charter Communications quarterly franchise fee, and the Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority Board agenda and minutes from the February 23rd, 2022 board meeting.
Move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh,
So just let me say that Charter Spectrum does have an affordability program. That program is for low-income people to afford internet access. So if you fall in that category, maybe we can link something off our webpage or kind of let people know that there is a reduction in cost if you meet the guidelines.
okay, I can have Andrea maybe do a link on that or something. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so approval of the agenda. Does anyone have anything they would like to remove or change or anything?
Move to accept the agenda as printed.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion and support. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, board education, privileged comment. I don't have anything for this evening. The second meeting of the month, we usually have our department staff reports, but does anyone have anything for this meeting? Okay, we'll move on. Anything in community linkage? Anyone hearing anything from the community, external environment about township issues and activities? Does anyone have any comments? Okay, we will move on then. Okay, policy discussion, consideration, and development. Consider approval of limited professional service agreement with UPEA, and I think that's Mr. Bodinas.
Yep, it's me. So what this is for, just to kind of give a quick background, we know that there's been a lot of state and federal money that's been kind of floating around, and it's come down to the state level here. So Eagle representatives had really encouraged us to apply a notice of intent with Eagle, just to kind of get put on the list for some of this funding that's coming out. Last week, Manager Kangas and I, we had a meeting with some Eagle staff, and we talked about some of the potential projects that we're looking at. Talked about, you know, the amount of funds that are actually out there that are going to be available, and you know, all the people that are putting in for it in the state. So what they basically gave us some, you know, told us a plan what we have to do to stay on the basically the list for this funding. So we filed our notice of intent, we had a meeting with Eagle, and then they gave us, outlined the steps that we have to take to keep on this list. It's a very tight deadline coming up, things that we have to meet, things, paperwork we have to get in, proposals we have to get in, a very tight deadline. And actually what's gonna happen is a lot of places in the state are gonna end up falling off that list because they can't meet that deadline. So in order to kind of keep our spot on the list, we would like to kind of get UPEA in on the project here, and you know, kind of help us out and get all our stuff in for the process and get it in by the deadline, so at least we can stay on the list. We're not actually asking for any approvals for any kind of projects or anything like that now. This is just to get on the list so we can, for the funding that could come up for a potential project. So kind of a quick breakdown, we're looking at upgrades to our Cox pumping station and to three out of our 5 lift stations for projects probably within the next couple of years here. So I have it broken down between water and wastewater. Wastewater is going to kind of be the lion's share of the projects, with water being basically a third of it here. So that's why I have it broken down between the wastewater and water contract services.
And if we are awarded, Lenny, this funding, we do have enough money in our reserve accounts for most of those projects you're looking for, right? Correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All this is just okaying us to move forward with the UPEA services.
Correct, yeah.
Right, yeah. Just because it's such a tight deadline, it'd be kind of hard for us to try to put all this together. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I think it was June 1st we would have to have a lot of this stuff completed by in order to keep on that list.
Yeah, there were 2 dates, and we had to go with the earliest date because we're filing it as a joint project. There's 2 funding sources, one for water, one for wastewater. And when you file it as a joint project, you have to meet the earliest deadline of the 2. And really what we're trying to do is get a project plan together to stay on track for 2023 funding.
Okay, John?
I move for approval of the limited professional service contract with UPEA for the development of submittals to the SRF for water and sewer projects not to exceed $3,000, and authorize the township supervisor to sign the agreement.
Support.
Okay, so we have motion and support. Is there any further discussion on this item? I think it's a good plan by our superintendent, myself, in the water industry. I know there's going to be a lot of funding out there in the near future, so I think we should take advantage of it if we can and get some projects done that maybe we couldn't get done, you know. And we have, like I was talking to John, these things we have to get done anyway, so we might as well just try to get them done now. So
I look at it, we're moving forward on, if we're not successful, we still have all the plans and all the documentations there. So next time, something like this comes up, we'll be, hopefully be a step ahead of them in that too, so.
You agree, John? Yeah.
Assuming we don't get it done this time, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0, one absent.
Thank you.
Okay, so consider adoption of the Marquette Township Recreation Plan 2022 to 2026. And Planner McCarthy is on Zoom, and he is going to take this, I believe.
Yeah, good evening. What you have in front of you tonight for your consideration is a few months of culmination, community input, some public meetings, and a revised and updated recreation plan that includes, well, it was approved and updated in 2019, but as a result of some recent developments and the proposed acquisition, that project or the plan needed to be updated to include that. Along with that, when we went through and updated and looked at the census and other demographic data that was available this time, the 2020 census data was available. So those kinds of numbers have been updated, as well as some of the projects, including the tunnel and the roundabouts and the pathway extensions. Those have been completed since 2019. Those have been updated. And then we included, most importantly in this plan is probably the action program, and that was derived from public input, rec committee input, the planning commission's recent approval at a public hearing. So this is more of a formality procedure tonight, in that if the Township Board is comfortable with the document, it doesn't obligate us for anything. All this does really is get us registered with the Michigan DNR for the next 5 years, so that any of those projects that are within that 5-year scope then can be applied for grants should we choose to move forward on any of those. So tonight I'm asking or requesting the board to adopt the plan by resolution, and once that's done, if it's approved tonight, then I will collect all the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission meeting and gather all of the other documents that are required to be sent off to the MNRTF for approval for the next 5 years. Happy to answer any questions, but this document came before you just a couple years ago, but it has been updated now to include, again, demographic and census updates, project updates that have been completed, and then some new projects that have been identified by resident requests and a number of public input sessions that we've had.
So I guess any questions from the Township Board before we move forward? Okay, Ernie?
Reading through it, one thing's kind of jumped out at me. The pool concept, can you kind of bring me some information on what you're talking about, a pool concept?
Oh, well, an outdoor pool was discussed at an open meeting at one of the public input sessions. So it was put in the plan just in case there's any funding out there for something like that. Actually, Planning Commission Chairperson Johnson had indicated that he was interested in a pool as well. You know, funding-wise, liability issues potentially, staffing issues, and just general funding issues, I think would be a challenge there. But what we're seeing, I think, is a lot of these local service groups or people that are interested in those kinds of projects really stepping forward. You know, pickleball is a great example. You know, these folks are saying, you know, if we can get a grant for some pickleball courts, they might be able to generate the matching requirements to have those be in our community. So there's a lot of collaboration going on, and on the off chance that you know, we could get a pool installed somewhere on the property if we were able to acquire it, that would be fantastic. Us and the board would always have the final say on any project or any grants that would be applied for.
Okay, any other questions?
Pool, are we talking indoor, outdoor?
Outdoor, Pete. be an outdoor pool. John?
Just wanted to mention, before a motion is made on the resolution, there's this, whoops, sorry. Before a motion is made on the resolution, there is a small typo in the last line of paragraph 5. In parentheses, there's the number 3, it should be 30. There's a 0 missing.
Okay, yeah,
So it would
3.
be as amended.
Thank you. Yeah, I also want to thank Supervisor Durant, Andra, and Planner Powers, who have all proofread this and provided me with some. I can only look at a document so many times before I have to pass it on to somebody else. So they have provided keen corrections and minor grammar adjustments. But other than that, the document won't change.
No, that's fine. As long as we approve it as amended, we will be fine, so. Okay, any other questions or concerns? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I so moved that we adopt the Marquette Township Recreation Plan 2022 through 2026 as presented and by resolution.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any other comments before we take a roll call motion?
There's a lot to read, but it was very interesting as to what the future is going to bring, possibly bring. And that. If we don't put it down on paper, we'll never move in that direction, I think, that too, so.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so roll call is Treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Marks,
Yes.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
Trustee Everson,
Yes.
and Clerk Rattari is a yes. So that motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
And just as a reminder to the public, the plan is available on our website, so,
Front and center.
yep. So if you're interested, take a peek at it.
Okay, well, thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. So moving on, we'll consider the DDA appointment of Bill Geller. He could not be here this evening. However, I did talk to Supervisor Durant beforehand. And basically, Delynn Klein is retired from Marktrans, so her position on the DDA is now open. So we have to do a replacement for a partial term replacement. And Lynn has recommended Bill Geller, and he said he would be able to come to the next meeting to meet us. And I said I didn't have a problem appointing him this evening, then having him come next meeting to introduce himself. So, so I guess I'm looking for a motion if anyone wants to appoint Mr. Geller to the DDA.
I'll make that motion to appoint Bill Geller to the DDA.
I'll support it.
Okay, so, and of course, his application's in the office. We don't put that in the packet because there's sensitive information on that. So if you're interested, you can look there. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns?
Will the dates be on there?
Well, it will be to complete a partial term that expires 12/31/23, and that will be in the motion. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. Okay, so the next item is consider scheduling a work session for discussion of township events. And former manager Gerard is on Zoom. If anyone has any questions, he's available from our last session when we chatted about the events committee a little bit. He's willing to be here and answer any questions that anyone had from that time before we move forward in scheduling a work session. So I guess anyone has any questions for former manager Gerard before we move to schedule a work session? Okay, I guess, Randy, no one has any questions, so we will move forward to schedule a work session for discussion of township events. So I guess everyone get their calendars out. And
Okay, the only comment that I would make is that there was a concern on the part of the committee because the the scheduling of the work session, we hope will be soon, because we are in the process of trying to line up bands and entertainment for the community day event, and they're filling up pretty quickly. So we don't want to find ourselves at the last minute with nobody there. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, that was it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Trustee LaRue did mention that, to have a work session as soon as we could on this, so I guess throw some dates out within the next couple weeks, 2 weeks. Well, next week, I'm available next week, if anyone's available next week. Supervisor Durant, I think, is gonna be out until the 17th, but she could zoom in if she's available. It's a work session, so it's not a special meeting. So anyone, any date next week, anyone?
Monday?
Mondays? Monday I can do it, but it has to be after 3 o'clock on Monday.
How about
Tuesday, I'm open all day. Wednesday, I'm open all day.
For Tuesday, it has to be after 4:30.
Okay, how about Wednesday? That's a planning commission night. but
Yeah.
Thursday, I'm available Thursday. Anyone?
Can we like do it at 6:30, or is that like too late, or? I mean, then the public that's working who may have children can come to the
I can do it. It doesn't matter to me.
What day is that you're talking, Linda?
Monday, Tuesday. I mean, if you do it at 6:30
Or even 6,
or
that's an,
6. John, are those bad days, times?
how about Monday, or how about Tuesday, the 8th at 6 o'clock? Is that?
Tuesday, 6 o'clock?
At 8, is that a decent time?
It's okay with me.
Yeah, that's off. How about Pete? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion then to schedule the work session for March 8th at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for 3/8/22 at 6 PM. Any other comments before we move on here?
What we have to do is, we gotta find out who can, sign for bands and stuff like that. That's part of our discussion, so.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll try to hash that out there, Pete. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. So Randy, next Tuesday at 6 o'clock here.
Thank you.
If you want to get the events committee, they're
Or
what,
Monday, was it?
Tuesday.
No,
Tuesday,
not available that night.
you're not
I
available?
thought we settled on Monday, but
Well, I can do Monday too.
Oh,
if you want to meet without me, that's fine, but you won't hear my concerns that I've already stated.
No, I think we get everyone as we can here. Monday at 6, is that okay for anyone? Monday at 6?
okay with me.
I'll change my motion to Monday at 6.
About Linda?
Okay.
That's what, yeah. Is that the 7th?
That'd be the 7th, yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
6
amending
is-
you're amending your motion to have the work session on Monday, 3/7/22 at 6 PM.
Correct.
And that's good with everyone? Okay, so we'll revote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So Randy, change your calendar.
Monday.
Monday at 6, so let the events committee know, and we'll be
Oh,
present.
two-thirds of it's here.
Okay, thanks, Randy.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so moving on to the next item is the quotation for the applications, AV ballot application printing and mailing for the May special election. So I'll give you a little background on this. This is my, historically, we've had 400 permanent AV applications we had to print and mail out before elections. With Proposal 3 enacted a few years ago, this number is now 1,247, so it's increased 3 times the amount and growing every year. So if this quotation is approved, it would make the election process more efficient and allow the assistant clerk to focus more on other duties related to elections. And especially now with the transition we're going to be going through, I think it's important that we have the replacement not have that to deal with right now, so. And basically what that is we send them the list of our AV list, and we're gonna have an insert in there that says that this election is for school election, because there won't be a lot of people that will be interested in voting for that. Some might, but a lot won't.
Is that the only thing on there?
That's gonna be the only thing on there. So we'll put that insert on there because people like to know what's on the ballot, so we'll explain to them what's on that one. And we get, so they'll put all that together for us, and we'll get postage instead of at first class. We'll get the bulk rate at 33 cents, which is a $300 savings, because we don't get that right now. So my recommendation is to approve this, and it's a reimbursable expense anyway, so we probably will get reimbursed for this from the school district, so. So I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve the quotation for special spectrum printers for the printing and the insert for the May special election for an amount not to exceed $12.24.51, and authorize the township clerk to sign the documents.
Okay, we have a support?
Or,
Okay,
you say we'll
so
probably get that, we're not sure we'll get that back?
I'm sure we'll I'm hoping we get it, but
I'm sure we'll probably.
you know, my argument would be is if we didn't have an election, we wouldn't be doing the work. So that election is directly putting more work on us. So I'm gonna really enforce that in the reimbursable category, so.
Is this gonna be a one-time maybe?
Well, we'll see how it goes. But if not, I just know it takes a lot of hassle off our staff, because doing 1,247 envelopes with inserts is not easy, plus mailing it, and so.
Yeah, right, and the company that you're probably going to contact with, they can mail merge it, do all that, costs less to mail it out. The amount of time you're saving paying staff is well worth the money.
Yeah, because it's a one-stop shop. You just send them your list and insert, and they take care of it, yeah, so.
The only thing is make sure the information is secured when you send it to them.
It is, yeah,
Okay.
it is, so. Okay, so any other questions or comments before we vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. And then the other half of the election is moving the township board meeting from May 3rd to May 4th, 2022. And it's self-explanatory. We're going to have that special election on May 3rd, so I would like to move it.
I move to move the regular township meeting from May 3rd to May 4th and have the clerk post the change.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion and support. Any questions or comments?
I think just so people know, because the 3rd is the election and we gotta move it off that date.
Yeah, there'll be a posting on the door for that, so. So I guess the good thing is if they come that night, they're not gonna be late. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. Okay, so down to assurance of organizational performance, board committee updates. So Trustee Winslow from the Planning Commission.
Okay, so the Planning Commission met on Wednesday, February 23rd at 7 p.m. We discussed the recreation plan, and Jason already addressed that. The Planning Commission supported it full-heartedly and moved it on to this board, which you just voted on. We also did a site review for a proposed mini golf course to be constructed in property located in the zoned development district, and they met the criteria that we set forth, and we did approve that to move forward. There was also some correspondence regarding the Lake Enchantment property maintenance update, and Roger might be addressing that when he gives his report as well. So other than that, we will be meeting at our next meeting to review short-term rentals again. So hopefully, if people are interested in that, they will let us know. And we did get a list of all the short-term rentals that are approved in the township. So any questions?
Where is that mini golf at? I've been trying to place it in my mind and I can't come up with it.
So it was explained to me that it is across on the south side of the highway from the Kubota dealership.
Okay.
So there's a big rock.
Yeah, that's all rock there.
Yeah, they're gonna be very creative, that's what I'll say. And it will be.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very excited. So.
They have their own piece of the rock.
The only thing that we did comment a little bit about was, you know, that whole turning lane on 41 going, there's no Michigan left there, so, you know, they'll be crossing the highway. And there's no water and sewer there from the township. So they'll be drilling a well and putting in a septic field, I guess you would call that. So they have lots of steps to jump through yet, so.
And there were some comments about the additional property too. There's some things possible in the future if things work out.
Yeah, swimming pool. Yeah.
I was not referring to the swimming pool.
That was right there though, Ernie. They talked, their eyes lit up. Splash pads were talked about, but anyway.
No further comment.
So yeah, so you know, it's the beginning for them, and you know how it grows from there, we'll see. Marquette's a destination city, you know, with destination city come children and parents and grandparents and.
All right, any other questions for Linda? Okay, Recreation Committee, anything, Dan, from there? No?
Haven't met.
Okay, so that won't be maybe next month. Peter, Events Committee?
Well, we're looking forward to having that meeting and clarify some of the stuff that, so we can get going.
Okay.
Finalize some of the things that have to be finalized, because we usually don't wait this long because we're behind the gun right now.
Okay, well, we can,
Because a lot of people are, say, especially your bands, you know, they like to sign them up ahead of time, and I know one band's holding out for us, see if we're gonna do it, so.
I think we'll do it, it's just a matter of how we get there.
Well, yeah, but if they wanna play and we want them to play, you know, if they don't think that we're gonna have it or do it, 'cause we have to come up with a simple thing, who's gonna be doing the signing, the contracts, and who's paying and stuff like that. And it should have been ironed out years ago, so we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're not reinventing the wheel here, so
No,
we should be able
no.
to move
Just have to
forward
get
on
going.
this. Yeah,
Because if we hold off this too much later, we're gonna have to put it off till next year.
okay. John?
I just want to say, this would be a whole lot easier if I just turned a blind eye to what's going on, but it's not the way I want to continue forward. So this meeting is overdue for sure.
Well, I think, you know, I think you're right. I think we have to move forward and we have to get some guidelines and move forward from there. And we'll take care of it at the meeting.
Yeah, just have to make sure that we're doing it right, that's all.
Correct, yeah. Make sure we're right and we're doing things, you know, lawfully, expenditure-wise and such. We don't want to get in trouble doing that, so. Okay, public comment. Anyone have public comment out there? Anyone on Zoom? Lynn's on Zoom. Any public comment? I have no email, so we'll continue on. Anyone have announcements for tonight? Okay, we'll move on. No announcements. Mr. Manager, your report?
Okay, a few exciting updates regarding our technology improvements. We have replaced all of the security cameras on this property now. and I believe a couple of them over at Public Works as well. Just 8-year-old cameras that were due to be replaced. The quality is significantly better, so much better that the old hard drive couldn't handle it, so we had to upgrade the hard drive too. You know how this goes, right? The better the quality, the more storage space you need. But the good news is we were able to take the hard drive out of the old device and add it to the capacity of the new device, so we doubled our capacity. That will allow us to store more recording, so that's good. We have new computers coming tomorrow for the deputy treasurer. I talked to Ernie about that earlier today. So hopefully that will finally be done, and some of the remaining training he has to do can get completed as well. We have hired a new accountant assistant clerk, which I think the township did really well with this search. We had almost a dozen applicants, 5 quality candidates that we interviewed, of which I would say there were probably at least 3 that we could have hired and been in very good shape with, but the final decision was unanimous, and we hired Kimberly Clark from the school district. So she will be starting on March 14th and training with Lois for almost a month before Lois leaves. So that'll be a really good transition, and I will say the township has done a really good job of this succession planning, making sure that we don't leave the next person in a lurch. When I came, I worked with Kirk for a couple of months. I worked with Randy for a month before he left, and anytime we can do that, we should take advantage of it so we don't lose all that institutional knowledge before the person leaves. So finally, the DDA does have a draft development plan. If anyone's interested, we can get you a copy. There's a few more cleanup things that need to be done, and kudos to our planning department for doing all the legwork on it. Really what it's doing is creating a list of priority projects within the DDA district that they can use to justify whatever millage they choose to request of their members, all the properties within the district in the coming years. They currently have a half mill for 2 years, which will generate about $100,000. It's just shy of $50,000 per year for 2 years to complete the next 2 legs of our non-motorized system, which is the short piece from Werner to the highway on Commerce, right out here, and then from Venture to the highway on Wright Street. So that ties all of our existing network to the new piece that was done on the highway last summer. So that's the plan, is to use that current revenue for this year's millage and next year's millage as a local match to a grant to fund those 2 legs, and then go into the projects that will be in this development plan.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the manager?
No?
Okay, thank you, John. Review of the motions this evening. So first motion was to appoint the clerk to run the meeting. That was approved. Second motion was to approve the consent agenda as presented. That was approved. Third motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the limited professional service agreement from UPEA, and that was approved. Fifth motion was to approve the adoption of the Marquette Township Recreation Plan 2022 to 26, and that was approved by roll call vote. Sixth motion was to appoint Bill Geller to the DDA for a partial term that expires 12/31/2023. That was approved. Seventh motion was to schedule a work session for discussion of the township events on Monday the 7th at 6 p.m. and that'll be here, and that was approved. I'll post that tomorrow with an agenda. Eighth motion was to approve the quotation for AV ballot application printing and mailing for the May special election, and that was approved. And the ninth motion was to move the township board meeting from May 3rd to May 4th, and that was approved. Items for future agenda, I have one. It's going to be the Iron Ore Heritage ballot resolution and language. That has to be in by May 10th, and that will be on the August ballot. So I will put that on the next agenda. For that, does anyone else have anything else for the next agenda?
We may have something after the work session on the events, but that, we can't project that.
We'll do that, yeah, after that, so. So I only have one item right now, and it's already on the next agenda. All right, move to board member comment. Start with Dan, anything? John?
We support our colleagues and our opposing the invasion of Iran.
Okay, thank you. Anything, Ernie?
I'd like to comment, Public Works, on the sidewalk cleaning, because that's fantastic. People are out walking on that already and that. And I see they're out plowing on the hydrants too, so getting that all set, so. It's well done with all the snow we had in the last week or so.
And we did
Get that
get,
taken care of.
I think they're doing a
They have
great
been.
job.
we did get dumped on, that's right. Heat?
No, I was just gonna, similar to what Ernie's saying, over by the ice rink and the parking and that, it's been plowed out for people to go and enjoy it, and so. They're doing a good job.
Linda?
Thank them.
So I don't know if this is appropriate, but Roger, can you talk a little bit about the property maintenance, that we were having some issues with out in Lake Enchantment? Just because I want people to be aware that we're serious as a township about maintaining our property. So serious that we are following up on it.
Well, as the board is aware, it's a fairly unique situation because that property, which is in a fairly serious state of mess, is co-owned by 3 unequal owners. One owner owns 50% and the other 2 own 25%, so we cited all 3. And that was scheduled to go to a hearing in front of Judge Kangas. I don't recall the exact date, but a couple days after our last meeting, but before this meeting. We reached a resolution among all 3 property owners, and it remains to be seen whether they'll comply with the resolution. But the general terms of the settlement are that it was pretty well agreed that nobody could do anything to clean it up with this much snow on the ground in any event. The home itself is a seasonal home, so you can't even get completely to it to get to the junk. So they will have it cleaned up by not later than June 1 of 2022. That gives a good month to 6 weeks even after the snow leaves, hopefully. And also for the road to firm up enough, because there are some soft spots in the area that they're going to have to traverse. So if it's not cleaned up by June 1st, then the township will have the right to contract to have it done. And any expense that is incurred, one of the property owners has agreed to reimburse the township for those expenses if it needs to go that far. There are other details with it, but those are the major ones at this point.
Good job, well done.
Well, we'll see. If the junk is still there, we'll have to see. Oh, and the other thing is, it was a signed written agreement, signed by all 3 property owners, but we presented that to Judge Kangas, the district court judge before whom this was pending. So a copy of that agreement is made part of his court order as well, reflecting the terms of the settlement. That's part of the court record at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
The other thing is that I talked a little bit about short-term rentals, and we did get a list of the ones that have been approved since August 15th, 2018 through February 9th, 2022, and there were 15 of them. 15 of them that were applied for, and according to what I have in front of me, 13 were approved and 2 were denied. So just so you know that, this is kind of moving. People are wanting to do short-term rentals, so.
So the feeling is, this is not the end of it, it's gonna be more coming, possibly.
There's one more coming at the next planning commission meeting. And at the planning commission meeting, the February 9th one was denied. The residents, it was in Trowbridge Park, and I think, it was, I don't know how it's designated, but residential, the residents didn't want that, and they came and spoke out. So if there's one that you get a letter about and it isn't what you think should be happening, you need to come and speak out at the meetings.
How many residents can ask to say no?
There isn't a number.
I got a note that I'd written
Today.
down, planning hearing on the 9th of March.
That's a short-term rental, yeah.
And short-term rental, okay.
Okay, is that it, Linda?
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, so the only thing I have is, we got an election in May, and it's gonna be a one-subject ballot. It's for the school election for their sinking fund, so that'll be May 3rd. On Saturday, the previous Saturday to that, we will be open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to take any absentee ballots or give them out or register anyone to vote that day. And that'll be posted also. Another thing is, I did see in the Mining Journal today, they had the border review dates in there. So those are coming for the township in the next few weeks. So I think they are on the tax bill too, correct? The border review dates?
No.
Or are they not?
No, they're not there, no.
Okay, so we'll make sure they're on the website for anyone to, if they want to come and speak about their taxes. We'll make sure those dates are on the website for them.
I think they're gonna try and put it in with the water bill too. That's the
Okay.
last I heard.
Okay, it may have, yeah. Brenda was doing that today, putting that stuff in there. And it's probably on that calendar in there too, I imagine. Yes, Dan?
I just want to ask Linda one question on short-term rentals. How big of a radius around the short-term rental do they notify the neighbors that this may?
My understanding is it's 300 feet.
That's it?
That's my understanding.
That's mandated by state law.
That's not very far.
That is correct.
Write to your legislator.
Neighbors,
Yeah, that'll do a lot of good.
neighbors talk.
Yeah.
You're right, that isn't very far,
No.
but usually people on the street, your neighbors will spread the
I
word
mean,
pretty
you
fast.
can't discharge a gun 450 feet, but somebody, this is less than that.
Correct.
You had, some time back, one other application was in. You had 24 people from that neighborhood who were neighbors, who were at the meeting saying, we don't want this. It passed.
Oh, Sid, that was before my time, right?
No, that's right.
Why did it pass? Because the 300 feet was too wide, right?
Well, it's up to the
There's
planning.
nobody in 300 feet in some areas.
It's up to the planning commission.
They had 24 people oppose it, and it still passed.
Yeah, I don't know. I have the ones listed.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that's a planning commission item, that doesn't come before the board, that's in their prerogative to approve or disapprove those. Unfortunately.
It wasn't, in all fairness, it was so well opposed by the neighbors, even though it passed the then planning commission. It never happened.
I think I remember
So
that.
they didn't do a short-term rental.
In the end, it never happened, but it wasn't because of the lack of a vote that approved.
Yeah.
I think I do remember that. Okay, so to move it along, we're setting a record for meeting time, I think, but, any other board member comment before we move on?
He's been waiting all evening.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Sure, I'll second that.
I was holding off to see if I get a response from you, see?
No
All right,
second?
yeah, we do. We
Oh,
have a
okay.
motion and a second. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:26 PM.